No one would have believed in the last years of the 19th century that human affairs were being watched from the timeless worlds of space. No one could have dreamed that we were being scrutinized as someone with a microscope studies creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. Few men even considered the possibility of life on other planets, and yet, across the gulf of space, minds immeasurably superior to ours regarded this Earth with envious eyes, and slowly and surely they drew their plans against us.
Yes, I remember the Great Martian War. My grandpa used to talk a lot about it. He was a part of the American Expeditionary Forces that went over there to France to fight the Martian bastards. Yes, I remember it all too well. The Great Martian War was a mockumentary that was created by, of course, the History Channel. And while, yes, many of you may say the History Channel is nyeh, this one, they did good. I personally remember the Great Martian War from when it was aired on the BBC. I looked forward to this, and I watched it, and I absolutely loved it. I was enthralled in the alternate history take on it. And that's exactly what this is. This is an alternate history World War I. It's just... I don't want to get excited, because I actually want to not spoil everything for you, but I will say this. The Great Martian War from 1913 to 1917 is a mockumentary that I honestly believe many a fan fiction can be made from. Not only that, but many a good story can be made from. Hell, I would argue that the World War I of the worlds is based off the Great Martian War. I mean, Jesus Christ, this mockumentary, thank God, was saved from oblivion by the Internet Archives. Link down below if you want to watch this for yourself. This mockumentary is an hour long, yes, but it goes into so much details. The actors do amazing work. There's a lot of cool stuff in there that I personally found that I was kind of found funny, especially some of the gas masks that you do see. They actually do blend the old World War I footage with the newer stuff actually pretty good. There is a lot of green screen in it, which I thought was actually kind of funny. But what I want to talk about is just the fact that there was a game on it. Yes, a game. It was a mobile game, which was basically just a running click adventure. That's all it was. It was basically just a run or click that you play on your phone that you would just waste time on. But what is the Great Martian War, 1913 to 1917? The Great Martian War is what would happen if the Martians invaded before the start of World War I. That would have happened in 1914. And again, this is actually kind of a cool documentary. However, one of the biggest complaints I've ever seen out of this was, oh, they keep reusing the same stock footage over and over again. Motherfucker, have you not seen a World War I documentary? I'm dead serious when I say it. These people don't understand how World War I documentaries work. Yes, they reuse the same footage over and over again, but here's the thing. That's kind of what World War I documentaries do. World War I was not a very documented war. In reality, World War I was very much so the first time a war was documented at all, with the newfangled camera technology. It's not like World War II, which was heavily documented, and of course was the reason why a new branch was created in the U.S. military. A branch which was specifically designed to document everything, for propaganda use or otherwise. It was a war. World War II was probably the most heavily documented war we know of from all sides. And I mean this. And the majority of it was used for propaganda purposes, not we need to, for historical purposes, document this conflict. No, it was mostly made for propaganda purposes. Or at least a good majority of it. I could be wrong on that. I'm not a World War II historian. I just understand how documentaries work. The Great Martian War, 1913-1917, you probably wonder why I'm saying that, but I'll get to that, is honest to God a really good mockumentary. The Martian designs are great, the new tripod designs are great, and the fucking lice, these motherfuckers here, are probably gonna haunt my dreams. Because, dear God, some of the theories that the soldiers actually make, especially the sounds they make, kind of fucked up. Because in the beginning half of the war, whenever the lice come out at night, they assume, and the sounds they make, by the way, they assume that the lice are collecting dead, harvesting dead. Literally, I'm not going to make the sound, I'm not going to talk about it because of YouTube's guidelines, but if you watch the documentary and you hear the sounds and you use your imagination, you can understand what they're doing whenever they go over dead bodies. But, again, it's kind of fucked up. But the real reason for the lice just damns the entire conflict in high command. The real purposes of the lice is just messed up. Now, the tripods themselves, or at least the Martian war machine itself, is actually kind of cool. There are two tripods that are seen. You got the Herons, which are basically the main tripods, which are kind of a cool design, I'm not gonna lie. They are massive tripods that have two lasers instead of the heat rays. The two lasers are basically a type of, like you would see on a AT-AT or on any sort of like sci-fi ship, which are slow firing. And the way they're described to work in strategy is that they're meant to just smash up defenses. They're not meant to be a direct anti-personnel, anti-infantry weapon. It's meant to just destroy defenses and basically scatter ground forces. Where the secondary, the infantry unit, moves in. The spiders. These fucking things, I'm not gonna lie. The spiders is messed up because they have these tentacles that literally come out and they're literally known as ribbons of death. Because they literally pierce through you. They rip you apart. They literally do all sorts of things that are basically within melee range. And unlike the Herons, who, yes, once again have shields, they actually do explain it in a way saying that this is the first introduction to dark matter. And again, a lot of the stuff on there is pretty fucking cool in my opinion. Especially in the later half of the war. Like, this does mirror World War I as a whole. And trench warfare, now you're probably thinking, why are the Martians not, just steamrolling through to Paris? It's because the fact of there's so much human bodies, there's so much artillery being rained on them that it's slowing the advance. They're not going any further because of how much artillery is being rained on them. Little fun fact about World War I. World War I was a artillery war. It was a war that was so heavily based on artillery tactics and strategy that there's a reason trench warfare was a thing, because the majority of it was to, you know what, I'm not, if you want to learn more about World War I, go to the Great War YouTube channel just to learn about the war. It is fascinating. And using World War I as a backdrop for this makes a lot of sense, because if this was World War II, it'd probably be a lot different. Actually, that's something I'd like to see you authors try and attempt. War of the Worlds, World War II. Make it happen! The main people we follow in this documentary is, of course, an Anastabje man, I may have pronounced that wrong, but a Native American from Canada, as well as another Canadian, and even 2 American volunteers of the Frontiersmen, and, of course, the French forces, and a German. Speaking of Germans, this is what's cool, and I'm only going to spoil just a little bit of it for you for the history elements of this. The First World War, Germany falls, and a scary message is sent out to every nation around the world about an alien invasion, and the Kaiser begging help from his national brothers, the Russians, the French, the British, anyone to help stop these alien invaders. The artwork in this is fucking amazing. Everything else about it is goddamn amazing, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would have loved to have seen, of course, the Russian front. I would have loved to have learned what would have happened on the southern fronts with the Italians and the Austro-Hungarians. But the majority of this is on the western front, between the French and the British. And then later on, the Americans, which, I'm gonna say this now, the theory that happens in that is actually pretty interesting, because they have a theory of how the Americans got involved in the war, and how the Americans finally got in the war. And the fact that Teddy Roosevelt is now president instead of Woodrow Wilson, because Woodrow Wilson being seen as the lamest of ducks. Which, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I want to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Was it really the Martians who got the Americans into the war, or was it the Allies? That's the conspiracy theory that happens. That is prevalent in that part of the documentary, of the mockumentary. And in my opinion, I think it was the Allies. Now, I'm not saying that there were Allies in the waters when the incident happened, but I'm just saying. As stated before, the CGI is not bad, and I would have loved to have actually seen a miniseries based on this, or even a movie based on this. The special effects in the prop department, obviously, they were doing what they could with what they got. You could definitely see they were trying to put as much as they could into this, how much love they put into this. One of the gas masks that is prevalent in this, if you actually understand gas masks, which I find kind of hilarious, is none other than the GP5 gas mask, which is made up to look like the Hood gas mask from World War I. You can definitely tell it's a GP5 because of the lens and this. I just thought that was kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. One of the things I found really interesting was the later half. What really changed the war, and what introduced more characters. Because the actors they got in this was awesome. I mean, hell, the Schlieffen plan, the Blitzhagen, lightning, just, I'm trying not to spoil it much, but there's this old woman who was a little girl in this time period who hated the Martians so much that I actually felt the hate coming off the screen as I was watching this. And the actress who plays her, this old woman actress, I gotta give her fucking props. She sells it, she nails it as an old woman who is vindictive against the Martians for taking away her father. My God, that is good. There's even a page from, of course, that was in the universe that was basically a best-selling book talking about the front lines. And in my opinion, I'd love to see someone actually make that, take that inspiration and actually make a fan fiction out of that, or at least make a War of the Worlds fiction out of that from the soldier's point of view of the first Martian War, or at least the Great Martian War. But basically, the historical event where they literally dug under trenches and literally blew up a good section of German trenches, that is actually used, much like in Yojosinki. And it actually is the reason why they're able to turn the tide of the war in their favor. And it was a failure at first, but an encouraging failure, because it was the first time they used tanks with Martian technology. It even gets better when a Martian actually attacks London. How that happens, I leave to you to actually watch. Pin comment down below. I'm just saying, this is honest to God an awesome mockumentary. But the thing that defeats the Martians, that finally gets them, is one that sadly is a repercussion. It's a good commentary on biological warfare and chemical warfare. Because while, yes, chemical warfare and biological warfare is a horrible thing, in World War I, especially in this situation, all bets are fucking off to take care of an invading force to put them out for good. And when the Martians do finally die, when we do see the Martians, by the way, the design of the Martians are fucking amazing. I'm not gonna lie. When the Martians are finally defeated, there's just a treasure trove. A new age of technology is given. Whether or not World War II does happen is never stated. But in 1917, the war finally ends. But something much darker, much more sinister is released. The Martian text, which codebreakers have been trying to find out and figure out for years in this universe, finally decipher them. And they learn a terrible, dark secret about the Martian invasion and why they invaded. And it shook me to the core. Because, dear God, oh my God. Anyway, I'm just going to say this now. This mockumentary was done terrific. This documentary was done so good, so well, that I want you guys to go check this out. To my fan fiction authors, I want you to watch this, be inspired by it, and write on it. Be it from the Germans' point of view, be it from the Russian Empire's point of view, be it from the Italians, the Anzacs, the Austro-Hungarians, even the Swedes. I'm not joking when I say I would love for people to take a look at this and be inspired by it. This mockumentary is by far one of the coolest damn things I've ever watched. And I wish there was more that people could do with this thing. Either way, though, if you want to watch this yourself, the Internet Archive, a government-backed website, has saved a digital copy of it that you can download yourself. It is in the pinned comment down below. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Al, and the War of the Worlds month is not over yet. For next time, we take a look at another piece of War of the Worlds media where we see the aftermath of the war and the second wave. Not the comic book, not the Asylum film. I'm talking at least the good one, the one that sadly, whose company has gone under. I'm of course talking about War of the Worlds Goliath. A dieselpunk, steampunk War of the Worlds that honestly needs more attention and needs more love. Till next time. And as always, if you want to help support the channel, consider donating to the PayPal down below. It's folks like you that actually help make these videos possible. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Al. And remember, when fighting a Martian fighting machine that has shields over it, consider putting landmines or hidden explosives under it, so that way when the enemy walks over it, you can detonate the explosives and bring the sons of bitches down. This strategy does work, and I recommend you consider it. Till next time.
Looking for that perfect game for your gaming console? Video Game Corner is the largest independently owned video gaming store in North Mississippi, located at 1519 Highway 72 in Corinth. We are an authorized limited-run retail store and have a massive collection of retro games and game systems, and also plush toys and collectibles. We also pay top dollar for your used video games. Check them out Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit Video Game Corner in Corinth.